My name is Sarah Miller, whose name has been changed. I attend high school at Northwood High School in Savannah, Georgia. My school is quite old, with red brick buildings and large ancient trees draped in Spanish moss, creating a very distinctive atmosphere of the American South, although it looks very picturesque during the day. At dusk, this place takes on a somewhat gloomy and mysterious feel. In particular, there is a tree, a massive oak tree located in a quite secluded area behind the school, near the old, rarely used sports field. This tree is very old, its trunk large and gnarled, its branches spreading out to cast a wide shadow. Although it is just a normal tree during the day, at sunset or at night, the tree looks very terrifying, like a giant ghost standing silently. Within the school, there are rumors about this old tree. Students pass strange stories amongst themselves, that on some nights, people hear strange noises coming from the direction of the tree, that things disappear mysteriously when left near it, that no one should go near that tree alone at night. These rumors are not widely known. Only those who are curious or adventurous talk about it. I also only heard bits and pieces, and thought they were just stories students made up to scare each other. I have no particular reason to go near that tree. However, sometimes, when walking past the old sports field area, I still glance towards the old tree. It stands there, silent and imposing, carrying a very distinct atmosphere. I don't fully believe in ghosts, but that old tree always makes me feel a strange unease, as if it is a focal point for some kind of energy. On a late afternoon in 2024, as I was staying late at school for a practice session, I had to walk through the area behind the school as it began to get dark. Sunset was falling, painting the sky in hues of red and orange. The old tree stood there, silent and more terrifying than ever. The rumors about the old tree, about the strange things that happened there, suddenly came back to my mind. And I didn't know that tonight, I would not just hear about the rumors anymore. I would see. The area behind the school wasn't just an old place. It was the dwelling place of a terrifying secret. And I was approaching that secret. I walked through the area behind Northwood High School as it began to get dark. The weak twilight light, the long and distorted shadows. The massive old oak tree stood there, looking more terrifying than ever under the dim light. I tried to walk through that area quickly. My heart felt uneasy. The rumors about the old tree suddenly felt very real in my mind. As I walked past the tree, I didn't look directly at it, only glanced at it from the corner of my eye. And then, I saw, underneath the massive oak tree, in a rather dark area under the dense foliage, there was something. A figure, a red figure. It stood there, in the darkness beneath the tree. The figure looked like the shape of a woman, wearing a long, bright red dress or cloak. That red color stood out strangely in the darkness. I froze for a moment. My heart pounded in my chest. Who was that? Who would be standing under this tree at this hour, in the darkness? I looked closer. The red figure wasn't clear. It looked like it was made of red mist, or from a faint flame. And it wasn't moving, just standing silently there, facing towards me. I felt a sudden cold draft radiating from the direction of the tree. Much colder than the surrounding air. That cold was deep, chilling. Then, I saw eyes. Although the face of the red figure wasn't clear, I felt as if there were eyes looking straight at me from the darkness. A cold, lifeless gaze, full of evil. That wasn't a normal person. Was that the female demon, ghost in the rumors? I stood there, shocked and scared. My whole body trembled. The red figure stood under the tree, silent, staring at me with that cold gaze. I felt as if my soul was being sucked into that gaze. Red shadow under the leaves. A gaze from the darkness. Pure terror had taken over me. I knew I shouldn't stay here for another second. I turned around and started running. Running as fast as I could. Without thinking. Running away from the old tree. Running away from the terrifying red shadow. I ran along the small path behind the school. Rushing into the darkness. The sound of my shoes hitting the ground was loud. Didn't dare turn my head back to look. I was afraid that if I turned back, I would see that red shadow standing at the tree. Or worse, standing right behind me. I ran until I was out of the area behind the school. Ran until I reached a place with more light. With people passing by. I stopped, gasping for breath, leaning against a wall, trembling all over. I looked back. The area of the old tree was shrouded in darkness. I didn't see anything, but I knew what I had seen was real. Red shadow under the leaves. A gaze from the darkness. The female demon, ghost. The rumors were true, and I had seen it with my own eyes. My life will never be the same again. After the horrifying night I saw the female demon in red under the old tree behind the school. My life was completely turned upside down. That fear wasn't limited to the school grounds. It had followed me home. The first few nights after the incident, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the image of the red shadow under the tree. That cold, evil gaze staring at me from the darkness. The feeling was so real. As if she was right there in my room. I started feeling constantly watched. Even when I was alone in my own familiar house. When I was alone in my room, I always had the feeling that someone was standing behind me, staring at me. That feeling was very strong, even though no one was there. Sometimes, I would suddenly feel a cold draft radiate in the room, much colder than the normal temperature. That cold was very different, very deep, as if it penetrated my bones. Strange noises began to appear in the house. Especially at night, faint footsteps walking around on the floor upstairs when no one was there. Doors automatically opening and then slamming shut. Objects being subtly moved. I knew those sounds weren't just the old house creaking. Or the wind. There was something else in the house. Haunting clinging. The female demon in red had seen me. And now, she was clinging to me. I felt as if I was being hunted. I didn't dare to turn off the lights when I slept anymore. I always left a small light on in the room. But even in the dim light, I still felt as if that cold gaze was looking at me from somewhere in the corner of the room. I tried to ignore those strange phenomena, telling myself that it was just because I was too scared and imagining things. But they were too real, too terrifying to ignore. The haunting clung to me everywhere I went. When I went out, I always felt as if someone was following me from behind. When I walked past dark windows, I would see my own reflection and feel as if a blurry red shadow was standing behind me. I didn't dare to walk past the area of the old tree behind the school anymore. I took very long detours to avoid it. But that didn't help either. The female demon in red from the area of the old tree had seen me. And it had found a way to cling to me. My life became a never-ending nightmare. I lived in constant fear. never feeling safe. Sleep in fear was the only thing I got at night. The haunting clung to me like a shadow. And I knew that as long as that female demon in red existed, I would never have peace. The haunting by the female demon in red became more intense. Not just at home but also when I was at school. Every time I was on the school grounds, especially in the afternoon when students had left, I felt as if someone was watching me from the direction of the old tree. I tried to avoid looking that way, but my eyes involuntarily turned towards the tree. And sometimes, I saw her again, even though I tried to avoid walking through the area behind the school. Sometimes, due to the route or for some reason, I still had to walk past it. And each time, I saw the red shadow under the tree. This time, her eyes seemed clearer. Those eyes were glowing red eyes from the darkness, staring straight at me. Those eyes had no pupils, just two horrifying points of red light, a gaze full of hatred, full of evil, full of anger. I shivered violently. The bone-chilling cold radiating from the tree seemed stronger. I heard the wind blowing through the leaves of the old oak tree. But that sound wasn't just the wind. It sounded like whispering, faint whispering, but terrifying, like someone talking to me in an ancient language, full of menace. Whispers from the old tree. Was the female demon in red talking to me? What was she saying? I stood there, frozen by fear, listening to the terrifying whispers and staring at the glowing red eyes from the darkness. I felt as if I was being pulled into another world, a world full of darkness and evil. I knew that the female demon in red wasn't just a simple ghost. She was an evil entity, with her own power and will. And she was targeting me. Perhaps, seeing her had attracted her attention to me. Or perhaps, she had chosen me for some reason I didn't know. The glowing red eyes from the darkness and the terrifying whispers made me realize what real danger was. It was no longer just a fleeting fear. It was a real threat. I quickly turned around and ran away from the area of the old tree. Ran away from the glowing red eyes and the terrifying whispers. I ran until I was out of the school gate. Ran home, but I knew that no matter how fast I ran, I couldn't escape this haunting. The glowing red eyes from the darkness would forever be etched in my mind. And the whispers from the old tree would forever haunt my dreams. The female demon in red was still there, at the large tree behind the school. And she was waiting. After the encounter with the glowing red eyes and the terrifying whispers from the female demon in red, I lived in extreme fear. I tried to stay away from the area of the old tree at all costs. I went to school and came home by very long detours, just to avoid seeing it again. However, the haunting did not let go of me. The image of the female demon in red, the glowing red eyes, and the terrifying whispers were always in my mind. And then, something horrifying happened. One afternoon, as I was on my way home from school, even though I had taken a very long detour to avoid the old tree, as I was walking through another secluded area near the school, I suddenly felt an unusual cold draft. That cold was very familiar. The cold from a supernatural presence. I stopped, my heart pounding. I felt as if someone was nearby. I looked around. There was no one, only trees and a deserted road. Then, I saw, not far from me, at the edge of the trees, there was a shadow, a red shadow. The female demon in red. She wasn't under the old tree anymore. She was here, in a different place, but still near the school. She stood there, in the shadows, looking straight at me. Her glowing red eyes shone terrifyingly. This time, she seemed a little clearer. I could see her body shape more clearly. Her long red dress, and the expression on her face. Although her face wasn't clear, I could feel extreme anger and hatred. She wasn't just standing there. She stirred slightly. She reached out her hand towards me, as if wanting to call me back, or as if wanting to grab me. No escape, even though I had tried to stay away from the old tree. The female demon in red had found a way to approach me. I screamed in fear, turned around and ran as fast as I could. Without thinking, she didn't chase me, just stood there, watching me with her glowing red eyes and outstretched hand. I ran until I was exhausted. Ran until I got home. I closed the door tightly. Locked it, but fear still enveloped me. I knew she had seen me. She knew where I was. That closer confrontation was a warning. The female demon in red was not confined to the old tree. She could move, and she was targeting me. I felt as if I was being hunted. No escape from the female demon in red. That red ghostly figure would not let me go easily. And I knew that my life would never find peace as long as she existed. The closer confrontation with the female demon in red had brought my fear to its peak. I knew she was real. And she was targeting me. My life was now a life of constant fear. Never feeling safe. I didn't dare go out alone in the evening anymore. I always felt as if someone was watching me. Every time I walked past dense trees or dark corners, I would glance over, afraid of seeing that terrifying red shadow. At night, nightmares about the female demon in red tormented me. In my dreams, I saw myself near the old tree. Or saw the female demon in red standing in my room, staring at me with glowing red eyes. The haunting wasn't just limited to dreams. When I was at home, sometimes I still felt an unusual cold draft, or saw shadows flitting at the edge of my vision. I knew that the female demon in red was still somewhere nearby. Still watching me, perhaps. She couldn't get into my house. But she was still close. Waiting for an opportunity. I tried to find out more about the history of the old tree and the area behind the school. I searched for old stories. Incidents that had happened there. I found rumors about a tragic accident that happened near the tree many years ago. Involving a woman. The details were vague, but it seemed to involve violence. Perhaps, that is why the female demon in red is bound to that tree. Perhaps, she is the spirit of the woman who died tragically. This fear has left a deep scar on my mind. It has changed who I am. I am no longer the carefree, simple girl I used to be. I have become anxious, withdrawn, and always live in vigilance. The old tree behind the school still stands there, silent and terrifying, although I don't dare go near it. I know that the female demon in red is still there, under the tree, or lurking in the shadows. The red ghostly figure is still there, and she is still a threat. I don't know if I will ever be able to completely escape this haunting. I only know that every time I think of the old tree and the red shadow under the leaves, I shiver. The scar of fear will forever remain with me. And I know that in this world, there are evil and terrifying things that we cannot understand. And sometimes, we accidentally encounter them. My story is a warning. Be careful with secluded places. Especially locations with dark histories. You never know what is hiding there. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, or stories based on accounts and unexplained mysteries, like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel to follow our latest videos. We will bring you more terrifying and haunting stories. Thank you for listening.